We are live.
Welcome back to Quick Bites, everybody. We've got Arnold Palmer alert today. It's the beverage of choice.
We got Pepsi Zero Sugar.
I know people complain about the slurping on podcasts, but guess what? We're here for it.
Just do it like this far away.
So the reason why I picked an Arnold Palmer, because we've got some drama in the PGA right now.
Yes.
PGA and Live. What's going on?
Well, you know, Phil and 10 other players filed a lawsuit for, what was it called? Antitrust laws or whatever.
Yes, got denied.
Yeah, like quickly. I heard the judge was like, boom, PGA.
Yeah. Well, because they made all that freaking money.
Yeah.
It's like, if you sign a contract for $100 million, no one's going to have sympathy if you can't play in the PGA. And then what? We had Cam Smith announce that he's going over to Live as well for $100 million. Where does this money come from?
Well, the Saudis, like the oil Saudi empire, but it's like, why are they dumping this much money into it? Like, what's their ROI? Is there one? Are they just trying to?
That's a good point. Well, I think that the PGA has been around for so many years that there needs to be something to kind of disrupt it. But I don't know about you, but I haven't really caught on to the whole Live thing. I love the drama of it, and I think it's like stirring the pot. But when's the next Live event? Do you even know?
I don't know. And also, like, in the past year, I have barely been able to watch, like, the PGA events just because I've just been a little busy. But, like, and then I finally do. Obviously, I have, like, YouTube TV, so it pops right up. I click it. But, like, I think you have to watch it via YouTube.
Yeah, it's streamed via YouTube.
So it's, like, that's, like, not as accessible as, like, turning your TV on to
They need better social media presence, I think.
Yeah.
They need to dump $100 million into their ad spend.
Yeah. Well, I think they're doing good with their, like, what they're going to do with their content, but they need to get that in front of people.
Right.
So I'm not really sure what they're doing distribution-wise, but their content they've been making has been good.
It just needs to get out there.
Also, nobody goes to the live events. Have you seen, like, there's nobody?
Well, the Nelk boys and Trump went to the last one because it was at, like, a Trump golf course, which I thought was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
That was phenomenal.
I like some of the content I saw from there. Obviously, Bryson was there too, but I know you're not a big Bryson fan.
Well, I'm more of a Brooksy fan.
I was like, I'm a Brooksy fan.
You know? Well, I like Bryson because he just hits the ball a long way and he's trying to do something different, but I hear he's kind of a D-bag.
I mean, I bet.
Yeah.
Like, if you can hit your drive 460 yards, why wouldn't you be a D-bag?
Yeah, that's true. I just love the videos of him on Instagram that are like him just swinging out of his ass, 220 mile an hour swing speed or something like that, or ball speed.
It's crazy.
It's
I mean,
nuts.
like, you saw him at was it the 21 Masters? Yeah, I mean, he played like crap because he hits like.
It's too far.
Augusta is not equipped. Like, you don't need a long drive every hole in Augusta.
You see, they're moving a hole. They're moving a tee box back on 12 because so many players were hitting 3-wood off the tee and still being able to reach it with like a 7-iron into the green if you placed it right. So they're making it the hole longer.
What's that par 3? Is that 13?
Yeah. No, part 3 is 16.
Oh, 16. That's right. Duh.
Yep.
Okay.
16. And then there's another par 3. I think that's it's on the front 9. I think it's like 7 or 6, something like that. Anyways, let's get into the pod. A little golf tangent there. Topics of today, our crypto topic that is very interesting in my opinion is Starbucks has announced that they are wanting to incorporate NFTs into their platform. Where this can go is really fascinating because to me, Starbucks, number one, has done an unbelievable job getting into digital payments. I mean, out of all of the like Subways, Chipotle's, Starbucks, which app was the first one you ever downloaded and plugged your card into? Chipotle.
Oh, wait, what were the other ones?
Starbucks, Subway.
Well, I don't have my card plugged into Chipotle, but Starbucks, I do the scan.
Yeah. How long have you done that?
Over a year.
Okay. So I've done it for like the last 3 years when they first launched it.
Yeah, so it's catching on.
And it's like updating the balance. Well, I'm just saying that they were very innovative with.
Oh, I don't preload it.
You don't preload it.
I mean,
but you go through the rewards program, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So you use the app rather than pull out your card. I think it's really fascinating because you really start to talk about what NFTs can do, and when it comes to a rewards type program, like my thing is like, okay, well, how do you reward people? You know, like I think the user base of the Starbucks app is like 26.8 million like users, I think. And if you're able to integrate kind of a blockchain system on top of that, I just don't know where you provides like additional value, because already the rewards program is great.
Yeah,
like you get a free cup of coffee. So like, where does the NFT come into play? Maybe it's like this culture you're a part of, and they do Starbucks like special events that have access to, or special roasts,
special drinks.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Like you can only get this drink if you are
an NFT holder.
Yeah,
at Starbucks. That's fast. That's a good idea. Have you ever been to one of the Starbucks reserves? They only have them. I think there's only 7 of them, but it's like there's one in Chicago. It's like it's the coolest place ever. 4 stories of coffee, and on different levels they offer different things. Like the first level is just your traditional Starbucks, grab and go, breakfast sandwiches, all that fun stuff. The second level is like a bar, so all of their martinis and stuff are like coffee infused. And then they've also got like an ice cream area where they do these like ice cream and coffee combinations. And then you go up to the 3rd floor, and it's kind of like a lunch dinner place, and they've got tons of like different foods like pizzas, and it's all Starbucks.
Interesting.
Really good. But they've only done it in big cities where it's, I guess there's a demand for it. I always thought that like Boise could do well with a Starbucks reserve because of the growth, and we don't have a Starbucks in downtown.
Umpqua Bank building.
Umpqua Bank. Who wants to sell it? I'll call Starbucks.
That would be a good building.
Do you drink Starbucks?
I drink Slow, Blake.
Yeah, I forgot. The pod is sponsored by Slow by Slow.
Unofficially. I mean, Bree used to work at Starbucks for like 2 years, so when we go out to get coffee like through a drive-through together, it's always Starbucks.
What's her go-to drink at Starbucks?
What's hers?
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to text her. It's like 9 things long.
Oh, yeah.
This extra did. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not ordering that. You can do that. But no, I like, I don't live by it anymore, but I used to live right next to Black Rock, and I'm a big Black Rock guy.
So you're kind of a Dutch Bro guy too then, right?
No.
What's the difference then?
Well, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. the culture obviously is way different. Like Dutch Bros, you have to be like a certain type of person to go there. You gotta be a bro. Yeah, exactly. And I always like the underdog.
I like that.
And I've met one of the franchise owners of Black Rock
in town
that lives here, and I'm just like, she was cool, and I was also, that just like solidified like a couple years back that I was like, all right, I like Black Rock. And also I just like their coffee and their drinks, and I just like,
it's all about, if you like the coffee, drink it.
Yeah. So 1, I always like the underdog. 2, I love their spaces, their indoor, their lobbies and stuff.
Oh, they do have really cool, unique places,
and their buildings
like little
are
work
super
area.
Cool and modern. That's the one thing Dutch Bros does not have. The one downtown does, but like, there's no lobby space.
Yeah, there's no lobby space. It's grab and go, different concept.
Exactly, it is a whole different concept. But no, when I'm down here, I drink Slow.
All day long.
I used to be Form and Function.
Wedgies.
Wedgies. I used to love Form and Function. That was my go-to. I was actually just going through my taxes and like looking on and it was like Form and Function. But now, like I
business
do like
business write-off.
Yeah, exactly. So I like Slow though. Obviously, you got me hooked on there for sure because that was the first time actually,
there's something about Slow that's just different.
Well, it's a culture. Like we're homies with.
Like we know Marshall the owners now. Yep.
It just is a great experience, and they have good coffee. Yeah. I don't like their coffee warm, however. It's a little over roasted for me, warm.
Okay.
But when you put it on ice and put some vanilla or whatever they put in there,
a splash of goodness
makes it it makes it a lot better. I'm just not a fan of over roasted coffee. That's also, I don't really like Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks is a little bit more of the bolder, stronger type. Do you think the pumpkin spice latte is dead or not? Do you think they need something new?
Oh, like Starbucks?
Yeah.
Or coffee?
Yeah, for Starbucks.
I love pumpkin spice lattes, honestly. I'm going to come out of my shell to say it, but there's a coffee shop.
You drinking a pumpkin spice latte with your new feathered haircut, rolling in like a 67 Chevy.
Yeah,
doesn't get much better than that.
There's a coffee shop off of Hill and Highway 55, Coffee and Supply Co. Have you ever been?
No, is that place cool?
It's amazing. So actually the owner was the founder of Paul Frank, the monkey brand.
No clue what that is.
It's like our
generational gap is really
well, you would actually know more than me because it's an older brand. It was like I'll show you the
I think
logo.
I've seen it. Monkey. Yeah.
But they're from California, so they moved here kind of to retire. They're probably like 40s.
Yeah.
So it was like they didn't care if they were making or losing money on this
It
business.
was more of like a side project.
But they're doing great.
Ooh.
I think they pay less in rent for that nice space than I do for my apartment, and it's like got a loft. It's awesome. But yeah, it's great. They have the best coffee, I think. It's just so out of the way for me. I never go.
Right.
But their pumpkin spice latte, I'll drink it all winter when they
good?
have it. They also have a clove latte that's really good.
Ooh.
They also have macadamia nut milk, which I love to put in their coffee. So great place. You should try it.
We could get a lot of sponsorships out of this podcast.
Seriously.
Lots of coffee
Oh,
codes.
for sure. Yeah. And it's a cool vibe in there too.
I like that. All right. CPI data came out. Inflation. What is CPI?
Consumer Price Index, right?
What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me? Well,
We'll give the listeners a little background of what CPI is.
This is coming out of my knowledge of what I've gathered, but it's like the average of cost of goods and stuff that a consumer pays for, like how much that's all increased, but it doesn't include like
There's certain
food,
little
right?
limitations, and it's like, where does the data actually come from?
I've heard like what I've come to realize is kind of BS.
100%.
Like
I feel like it's such a controlled number that they throw it out there and then they're like, oh wait, shit, let's reel it back now. And they're like, okay, well, what do we want it to be this time?
yeah, exactly. Because it's like, all right, did it really drop?
Let's just adjust those 5 data points.
Yeah, I mean the market ripped today because it was like
Went
came in
off.
under. Yeah,
Went off.
my SPY G was looking good. My
Cooling
Amazon
down. Do you have any options in the books right now?
I don't. I don't.
I threw one out there today.
Twitter
Twitter
call.
call.
Nice.
And I don't know when the expiration is. I just have this feeling because Elon sold, what was it,
6.9
billion more of Tesla. And that's
So he
not
has
shares,
18
people. That's cash,
Yeah.
liquid cash.
He has 18 billion liquid right now.
And I think that the reason why he sold that was because he's starting to see the writing on the wall, and like he's going to have to close on Twitter, even though he's trying to get out.
Yeah.
And so I'm placing a call. I'm betting that the stock's going to go up about $10 because he's supposed to close on it at 54.25, I think, is what it comes out to per share price. So I'm betting that the stock, I mean, it's at $45 today. That's going to go up $10 in the next month. And I think that's a pretty safe bet, but we'll see. We'll update you guys in a month.
For sure.
Inflation.
I haven't really been noticing it a ton myself. I mean, like I'm trying to think of what I've been buying or doing that's costed more. I mean, obviously I can just notice everything a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously gas is
noticeable. Come down a little bit though recently.
Yeah, it has. But like groceries and stuff obviously have gone up, but I don't like notice it that much to where I'm like need to like make arrangements for what I'm buying or what.
Can't buy your almond milk anymore, Riley.
Yeah, exactly. A gallon of milk is like what, $4?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I can tell you. But
I feel like that's a generational thing that's super interesting with all this inflation talk, because in my generation, I feel like, okay, I'm a little price conscious sometimes, to things. I've changed over the years as I've made more money in my career. Like I don't care about my grocery bill as much. Yes, I still budget.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like every time at the grocery store, I'm like, oh, I should buy that milk that's 50 cents cheaper because of XYZ.
Yeah.
Where I feel like in your generation, it's like completely out the window. You just go buy what you want.
Yeah, definitely. So let's pause on that topic real quick. Budget real quick. Let's just touch on that. So you budget, do you have like a monthly budget kind of roughly ish?
Yeah, roughly. I've had a lot of moving parts in my personal financial situation the last 12 months. And so I haven't been as good at budgeting as I'd like to be, because I mean, at some point you have to be like, all right, we're setting this aside in this. And I love what Shaq says is take $1, rip it in half, put half of it in savings, and the other half of it, I don't know. He basically says save 75% of your income, spend 25% of it, and then you'll be fine.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
so I have a back end budget. So I save first. I save first.
Okay.
And then obviously all my expenses are run through my credit card, so I have a little bit more leeway,
Right.
and like wiggle room.
Yep.
So it's like, it's easier to like figure it out on the back end that way.
Yep.
Because like I don't need that cash right away up front.
Right.
I'm still conscious of what I'm spending. But as long as I get my savings out of the way for the month, I'm like, all right.
When you say savings, is that cash in a savings account or is that invested?
Yes and no. I would say like honestly right now 75% of my savings is just going into a savings account.
Just cash.
25% of it is going into like I bought a share of Tesla the other day on margin. So like at the end of this month, I'm going to pay that off, that margin, because because like if I don't have that cash like liquid available, but it's a good opportunity that I see to buy, I'll do that and then pay that margin off within 2 or 3 weeks.
See, and that's what's really cool. And it's really smart of you to do that because timing is important, but you're not going to out time the market at the same time.
Yeah.
But when you see a good entry point, you got to jump on it.
I just do it.
Any investment, if you know that the cash is coming in, you got to make that play.
Exactly. That's also when you know what you're going to be bringing in, like it's a lot easier.
Right.
And like, yeah, so it's just nicer that way to do that. No, I just thought that was interesting because I had talked to a lot of people and they're like, that's interesting that you do that. Like I've never heard
start with savings
too much
first.
of that. But yeah, it's just like as long as I can knock my savings goals out, I'll be good. I'm not contributing to my retirement at the moment.
That's another interesting point.
What
do you think about that? Why?
Time value of money.
What is time value of money, Riley?
Well, okay, so right, I mean, I'm 19. Yes, like I get it. Time's on my side. I can do all this
stuff. And I'm 29, so there's our 10-year gap.
Yeah. So it's like I would say if I'm not saving for retirement right now, I would say 25 is the latest that I'm going to start. But for the time being, I'm going to put that money elsewhere that's more accessible and not locked up in a retirement account that I have to take penalties on getting it out when I'm buying a house, a new car, a wedding, like all that stuff that's like,
right.
I don't know. And so it's just like, I don't see it as a huge need for me at the moment. I've already contributed 1 year's worth to my IRA. So there's like 6 or 7K sitting in there.
Perfect.
So I'm like,
do you have a Roth IRA?
I do.
Yes, definitely. For those listeners out there, if you don't have a Roth, get a Roth IRA. Basically what it is it's tax-free on your gains on the way out when you're in your 60s. I think, what is it,
59 and a half.
59 and a half. But it's a way to save for retirement rather than a 401k. Yeah, you're locking your money up, but at the same time, that's one beneficial thing that I recommend everybody gets.
And you can also take out your contributions penalty-free.
That's another
just
good
not your
point.
gains.
That is another great point.
You have to make under 128 grand a year.
Yep.
So obviously in the next couple of years, that'll probably won't be like, so once you get that and you surpass that income, do you have to just open a traditional, or do you have to like,
you can keep that Roth.
Can't contribute more to it.
You can't contribute more to it. I had a Roth for many years, and then with dual income, getting married, all that stuff, I just out-capped that limit. Mm-hmm. And you know that you can do what's called a backdoor Roth IRA, which is where you're putting it into a traditional 401k and then you roll it back into a Roth. Like there's ways around it.
Interesting.
But I was just like, you know what? I'd rather have my money more liquid.
Yeah.
And have the ability to play with it. So I actually closed out my Roth and just took all the funds out, paid my penalties, and just said, you know what? I'm just going to have a traditional brokerage account and treat it like a retirement fund.
Well, that's the thing. My brokerage account, I have an options account and I have just like my main account. And my main account is my
basically
long
term.
Yeah. And it's like, but I can also access that if I need it, like in an emergency, and not take as much penalties.
Right. All you're paying is short-term capital gains taxes if you bought it within the year.
Yeah. So I think I have like $500 in my options account.
Yeah.
And then obviously some more money in my main one. But like my main one, I'm contributing at least once a month a little bit.
That's a good amount of money.
I just kind of rearranged some stuff, sold some stuff, bought some more last week. But yeah, so I'm always looking at that one. And that's just kind of like my long term. And like, even if it's my retirement officially or not. Also, I'm 19, like I said. So it's like, even if I start contributing.
I look back to when I was 19 and Riley knows like 10 times more than I did.
I'm humbled.
Time value of money.
Yeah, so then that's been a huge concept lately. You brought it up to me.
So people get asked, what is time value of money? The way I look at what time value of money is, and my definition of it is, what is your money worth today and what could it be worth tomorrow?
Yeah.
And how can you best invest and grow that money? Okay. We were talking about CPI earlier, came out at 8.5. So you're saying that my cash lost 8% of its value, its buying power. And it kind of ties into what we were talking about yesterday too, is buying good assets and borrowing against them.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not a taxable event.
It's not about how liquid you are.
Yes.
It's about...
Alex Ramosi said this. He said it's not about...
liquidity.
Shit, what did he say?
It's about
the
ability
access.
To borrow capital quickly.
It's not about the capital. It's about access to capital.
Quickly.
It's not about capital itself. It's about access to capital, whether that's in your hands or leverage.
Yes, that's what it is.
That was like very not great example, but
that's okay.
That's kind of what he said.
But time value of money to me is like evaluating what your dollar is worth today or Bitcoin or whatever it is, and what could it be worth tomorrow. So, in real estate, we talk a lot about 10-year IRR. So your internal, your IRR, internal revenue, internal rate of return. There we go. It's coming to me. And, most investors go, oh, well, I want a 10 to 12% per year. Okay, well, there's so many factors that play into that. You've got to really evaluate, like, is my money best in that? And where it comes and gets interesting with your situation is you're 19 years old, you've got some capital, you've got some money. Is the best time value of your money to go buy a house, or is it to rent? What do you think?
To tackle that?
Yeah, it's serving it up.
So I just listened to the book "I Will Teach You to Be Rich" by Ramit Sethi.
Okay.
I think he published it probably like at least 5 years ago. So It's been out for a while. But I just listened to it this year and finished it. And he is big on rent or buy, depending on which is the best choice. Because sometimes buying is not always the best choice. Because I'm going to quote him directly. He's like, I ask my friends why they're buying a house, and they look at me blankly and say, it's a good investment. And they don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
And so I think he laid it out. He's like, after taxes, after inflation adjustments, he's like, I can't remember who it was, but just this like economist or someone took the value of like a home over the course of 20 years and only gained 2% a year.
Wow.
Including property taxes, inflation, all that stuff. So it's like, sometimes is it really the best choice to own a home unless it appreciated 310%
right.
in 2 years like we kind of just saw here.
Yeah.
I've also been watching a ton of videos about it because I'm like, all right, I need to start educating myself a little bit more about this because it's going to be
it's the next step in your life, is home ownership in the wheelhouse, and when is the best time.
So it's like, let's take a, and Ramit, he broke it down a lot better because he probably had it in front of him and reading it, but if I have 50 grand and I can put it, I mean, that's only 20% on a $250,000 house. So let's say 100 grand on a $500,000 house, 20% down payment, 100 grand. Okay. So that's
a lot of money
into your home. Now you have great leverage if the market goes up, but also if that market goes down, there's still leverage on the downside too, like in a bad way.
Yep.
Because it's like,
negative leverage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, let's take that 100 grand, put it in the S&P for 10 years, and you're going to get an average return of 8%.
Right.
Like, and if you put it in your house, like it could be 8% or 20%.
And it's a little more liquid in the S&P.
Yeah.
Unless you're buying bonds.
Yeah. So, and it's also like, well, you can go put down a $2,000 down payment for renting a house and pay $2,000 a month and keep that, or like a deposit. Not
yeah. Well, and you lose. People always go, well, I'm going to buy a house because I hate wasting money on rent. I'm like, okay, well, you're wasting money on a mortgage if your house isn't appreciating at the rate of what else you could do with your money, time value of money.
Yeah, and also it's like landlords are not always, like you're filling your landlord's pocket. They're not always making money on those houses.
True.
So it's
That's very true.
You're both in the hole at some point. But I don't know, I've just been like, well, what if I can just save I don't like to spend more on my rent than like a third of my income.
See, that's really smart.
I'm pushing it a little bit right now.
That's okay.
But it's like just perfect.
The sugar mama's going to bring home a little bit more coin.
Exactly.
You know?
Thanks, Bree. So, yeah, so right now, and so I'm like, all right, when you do that, all right, $2,000 deposit for renting, $2,000 a month. I'm just generalizing on like a house.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to pay for damages. You don't have to pay for property taxes. You don't have to pay for like random
extras.
hidden expenses.
Exactly. Oh, the washer broke.
HOA, like stuff like that you don't think of up front. So it's like in the short term, you are saving money in a way.
Right.
Because like if you have $100,000,
unexpected expenses that could be incurred.
Yeah. So if you have $100,000, like, is it really good to just tie that all up and like
I don't know.
pay $2,000 a month? Or
I think in current market conditions, personally, I don't think right now is the best time to buy a house. I think you missed that boat a few years ago. If you're going to own the house for 20 years, 25 years, go buy a house right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you're like, okay, well, 5 to 7 year exit, definitely probably not a good time to invest your $100K into a house. Here's a perfect example. So let me tell you my journey. When I was 22, I bought my first house. My thought with that house was, okay, I'm going to rent it out when I outgrow it. And I paid $220 for it, put $30,000 down. My mortgage was $1,500, $1,400.
Don't say this out loud.
No, it's $1,200, dude. In a great part of town. And this was 4.5 years ago.
How old were you?
I was 22, 23.
It's like 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Jeez, wow.
You're older.
No, actually, I didn't buy my first house till 24 because we've only lived in it 3 years. New place. So anyways, bought that house for $220. Fast forward 3, 4, 5 years, however many years that is, and moved out, bought a new house, kept that as a rental. And right now, 6 months ago, I went in to refinance it because I wanted to pull some capital out of it, tax-free. It's appreciated. The appraisal came back at $468,000. So $80,000 to $100,000 worth of equity I wanted to pull out of this house. And so I did that, but guess what? I refinanced it. So my mortgage payment is higher now. And that's...
You're getting like current market rates.
Yep. And so my interest rate on that is like a 3.75. Shout out to Bryce Gonzer. Got me a great loan on that.
Still amazing.
Still is a great rate. So I pulled out $80,000, got a brand new rate. Now my mortgage is in the ballpark of $1,600 to $1,700 per month. And with that, what's like what you said a minute ago about unexpected expenses, that doesn't include insurance, taxes, because I break those out separately because I like to pay those. I don't like to have an escrow account, which we can get into that on another podcast because people will have questions about what is escrow. Anyways, so now you look at, okay, well, I'm getting $2,000 a month, $2,200 a month in rent, and that's pushing the market for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So my margin per month is pretty slim. Let's say the freaking washer and dryer go out. That's $800 expense, $600 expense right there that I'm liable for. Now I pulled out $80,000 of equity, but guess what? If I went to go buy a new house at that rate, your mortgage is $2,000 a month and you have some unexpected expense come up, it's like,
and you just use all your savings.
And that was at a 3.5 interest rate. Now you look at, obviously things are changing. And so what I've learned in my situation to help like teach and mentor people like you, it's like, just be cognizant of the time. Mm-hmm. And like you said, renting might be a better situation for the next few years until you're going to get into a house that you will be in for 20 years. Now if you find an investment property that you want to live in, that the numbers make sense, maybe you rent out 2 rooms. There's another way. Have your roommates pay your mortgage, house hack.
Yeah. If I was single, I would definitely do that.
Right.
It just doesn't work when you have 2 dogs and a girlfriend.
You basically have a family at 19.
Yeah.
It's okay though.
No, it's great. I love it.
It's better than partying Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Exactly. I'm a lot more content right now than I probably would have been if I didn't do Handsome Media or whatever.
The journey.
What?
The journey.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to touch on though, right now I'm like fine with paying rent at what the rate I have for. I mean, like, it's worth it to me at the moment.
Yeah. You have a nice place. You even got a kick-ass pool.
Yeah, we have a nice
And a
pool,
grill, like
nice gym.
Like apartments with amenities
I
nowadays
go
are
play
freaking
pool every
dope.
night. With
Really?
my
It's got a
buddy.
pool table?
Pool table, ping pong,
geez,
shuffleboard.
Shit.
It's
that's
super
like,
nice. There's like 2 conference rooms, so if I need to go escape, do some work.
For how much a month? Right. You don't have to say it on the pod, but I'm
I'll
just
say it
saying,
on the pod.
like,
It's like $1,700 after utilities. But
it's a lot, but you get a lot for it, you know?
and like this is a big thing too, like that Ramit says. He's like, don't focus on cutting your expenses. He's like, go focus on making more money because that's gonna be a lot easier.
Yes.
And just like the $5 Starbucks coffees, it's like buy your goddamn Starbucks.
All right, we're
coffees.
bagging on Gary Vee a little bit here.
I think he's probably changed a little bit that perspective, maybe.
Mona.
He's like, Mona, that was a $12 coffee. You had to use organic milk, raw honey. But no, he's like, go like negotiate a $6,000 raise and buy 2 coffees a day, whatever. Like, but
That is such a good point. It's so much easier to go make more money than to dial back expenses.
Yeah.
I mean, with technology nowadays, like it's fucking endless.
Yeah, and people,
it's ridiculous.
People will rebuttal that, and they're like, "Well, you don't get it. I can't." Blah blah. Blah.
Well, there's something to be said for living in your means, but
yeah. And so Ramit's big thing is like, what is your rich life? Does that mean that you get to buy 2 coffees a day from Starbucks, and that's your rich life, or you want to buy a new car every year? Like, what does that look like? It's different for everyone. So like, figure that out, and then figure out a way to do that.
Right.
So like, Bree and I love to travel, and we love to go out to eat.
Yeah.
So that's our rich life. So I budget more for doing that stuff.
Because you enjoy that part. You only live once.
And yeah, and like, although we're spending like more money than I probably would have 2 years ago on stuff like that, 1, I'm content and happy because of it. And 2, I can make it work and not like I still have an emergency savings. I still have all this stuff. Like, I have it set up so that I don't have to so that I'm not like spending money on food and like I don't have money for medical bills or like stuff like that. So it's like
emergencies, unexpected.
Obviously build all that stuff up. And then also what I've been doing is automating everything.
I like that.
Makes it so much easier. So I get paid, boom. And then I have an automatic transfer every month for my savings, automatic transfer for my rent.
Oh, that's cool.
All that stuff. So
just auto does it, and then you're like, all right, this is what I got to play with for the month.
Yeah, and then I'm like, where did it all go? But then I'm also like, oh wait, I also saved a ton too.
Right.
So like, honestly, I don't know. My goal is to save like the exact amount of my rent.
I like that.
Is, like pushing it a little bit at the moment. But like, it's definitely feasible in the next couple months for me.
Especially in the times. I mean, if we do go into a little recession, there's going to be some good buying opportunities for stuff.
Yeah. So I'm trying to build up some capital for like good opportunities. Also, like, I don't know. I see nothing but opportunity during a recession. I've never been through one.
I know.
But it's like, if you work smarter and you wait, and you wait for the right time.
My thing is like, if you can just sustain and not get out over your skis, like commitments.
Yeah.
That's why I like being a broker and not a developer.
Yep.
It's transactional. The deal dies on to the next one.
Yep.
It's not like, oh crap, I outlaid all the cash. And this is where you don't count your commission checks too soon.
Yeah.
As a broker. Don't count those things too soon. Until it's in your hands.
Or until it's cleared.
Cleared in your hands. So, yeah.
One thing I want to go back on. So, you know Travis Hawks?
Yes.
Investor.
Investment funds. Yep.
I don't know what his investment firm is called or whatever, but because he was talking at this event that I was at, and he was saying about he owned the Blue and Orange store.
Oh,
and
no
he's
way.
like, during COVID, he's like, we were like,
Hammered.
crap. And he had like 2 other businesses, and he's like, so I continued to pay the payroll, but I pivoted, whatever. It was just kind of like he sustained, got through it, and then at the end, it was like so worth it because he was just able to do. And that's when they did Crave delivery, because he's an angel investor with them.
Yep.
That's when they came together and built that. Was kind of during the COVID era. And it's just like,
I hate to bag on it, but I
don't use it. I live right next to it. I don't use it.
I know. It was a great idea. I just think that with what DoorDash is doing, and you can get different kinds of food, like it's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, I think there is a place for it, but it needs a sustainable amount of marketing and consistency. Like the food was never great.
Yeah, there was some food that I was like, this was good, but I was like, I'd be okay if I never ate it again. But like, it was still good.
Yeah.
Because I think they bank on like a lot of the businesses around them,
Right.
ordering out for lunch and stuff. And also, there's tons of apartments next to them.
True.
And like, they have a great drive-up system. Like, if you order and pick it up, you just drive up, tell them your number, and they give you your food. It's like a drive-through window.
That
they
might
like
be
walk
nice.
out to you.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
cool.
Big doors.
Yeah.
So they're getting it down, and I think it's just like crypto. Like, it'll take some time.
It's
to
like
catch
the
on.
whole like initial ramp up honeymoon phase. Like everybody wanted to try it, and you got some influencers posting about it, and then now it's like okay, then you have a dip, and now you got to get back to a sustainable level.
Yeah.
Okay, we should probably wrap up the pod. It's going a little long today.
It's just so good, but let's wrap
Quick
it up.
bites, but today's episode was fire.